Hello. I just went and saw The Odyssey. And don't mind if I look down every once in a while. I have IMDb pulled up on my phone because we all know me and being able to remember characters' names, let alone pronounce them. And I don't trust myself to remember or pronounce any of these characters' names. And I was very excited for this movie. I wouldn't say that it's not the movie that I'm most excited for this year, but like when they announced it, I was like, you know what? I'm down for that. I'm down for a Christopher Nolan adaptation of The Odyssey. I did not see it in IMAX. I thought about it, but it was a very last minute decision to see it on this day, which is July 16th, and all the IMAX showings were basically sold out. Like, I could only sit in the front, and the closest IMAX theater to me is like a 20-minute drive. And I was like, I'm not gonna do that. So I did not see it in IMAX. I'd consider seeing it again and seeing it in IMAX. I've only seen a movie in IMAX once, which was It Chapter 2, and it was not 70 millimeter. And I've never seen anything in 70 millimeter IMAX. For sure, look forward ahead. 100% will fork over any goddamn amount of money it takes to watch Dune Part 3 in 70 millimeter IMAX because I'm so fucking excited for that movie. If you were wondering what the movie I'm most excited for this year, it's Dune Part 3. Uh anyways, but so understand I watched it in standard format. So, I didn't get the full Christopher Nolan experience, but I didn't think like obviously it'd be nice to see it in that format, but like I didn't think that my viewing would be impeded or my thoughts about the plot or anything like that would be impeded. Like I knew it was going to be a very visually stunning movie. Like I knew it was going to have a stacked cast. I knew it was going to have a fantastic score. Like I have very high expectations for a Christopher Nolan film. Like I mean obviously I've never seen every single Christopher Nolan movie. Like I've never seen Tenet, I've never seen Interstellar, but like I don't think I can think of a Christopher Nolan movie that I've hated. So like I have very high expectations for a Christopher Nolan film, and I really liked this one. I thought it was really interesting. I was a Greek mythology kid. The Odyssey and the Iliad were not my go-tos though. I was more really interested in the gods themselves and like their origin stories and stuff like that. I love the story of Persephone. Like that was my favorite thing as a kid, was like learning about the story of Persephone and how like she married Zeus and they became a couple and stuff like that. Like that was my shit as a kid. I know the general story of the Iliad. I know the general story of the Odyssey and things here and there. And this is like, they call it the Odyssey, but it very much is like a combination of the two. It mostly involves the Odyssey, but obviously you can't tell the story of the Odyssey without context of the Iliad to like bring it to light. And I think, I mean, obviously, I know, I wouldn't say I know more than the general audience, but like I'd say that I know a decent amount about those stories to like understand what's going to happen in the movie, but I think it does a really good way of still like putting in, key parts from the Odyssey specifically into it, and also the like key moments of the Iliad that you need to understand the Odyssey in a way that like any general audience would, like with no knowledge of Greek mythology or like the bare minimum, would be able to like understand it and stuff like that. And I really liked that. I wanna backtrack a bit because I thought it was really funny. So when you go and see a movie in theaters, usually you get previews. So I go to Regal. That's my go-to movie theater. I go to a Regal theater that's like 5 minutes away from my house, and they do the like like the preview thing where, like I guess it depends. We get at that theater specifically get like a shit ton of ads for like local things and like not a whole lot of like trailers. Like the trailers come later. There were no fucking trailers before this movie, and I don't know if it's because they were like, this is a 3 hour long movie, we cannot make it longer or what, but I did think it was really funny. I was like, oh, they're dimming the lights, cool. And then the Universal sign, like, logo starts up, and I was like, is the movie starting? Like, we're not getting trailer? What the fuck? And then I was like, I guess they were like, nah, we can't put trailers before this 3 hour long movie. And I will state, this movie's fucking long. Like, it feels long, too. Like, it's not necessarily a bad thing, though. Like, you get to a point where you're just like sitting in this theater, and I'm like, I know there's more content, and I'm like, oh my god. And then he gets back to Ithaca, and I was like, okay, we gotta wrap it up. Nope. Nope. No, we're not. But oh my god, I really liked it. I know this review is all over the place, as they always are. Context, once again, I went to work before seeing this movie, so I've been awake since 4 a.m. But I did really enjoy it. Like, it was a fun movie. I think that Anne Hathaway specifically does a fantastic job at acting, and I like the way that the story is told, because it's like, it's got the current time frame of Odysseus is missing. Most people think he's dead. There are the people in denial, which is like Penelope and Telemachus. I'm 100% not pronouncing that correctly, but I'm gonna say Telemachus. Like, those two specifically, and a couple other people that are like, no, Odysseus is still alive, and they're just like, they're searching for answers because they don't want to believe that he's dead, even though it's been 20 years. So I did find that really interesting. I think it also puts into perspective that, like, it took them so long to get to Troy in the first place. Like, they kind of breeze over that, but they talk about how it, like, literally took, like, basically 10 years for them to get to Troy in the goddamn first place. And then how that, like, proceeded afterwards and stuff like that. And I thought that was really interesting. But, like, I like how it does this sort of present thing, and then everybody else tell stories. Like, mostly it's Odysseus telling Calypso, like, what he remembers, but it's also, okay, I literally, I can't find his name on this fucking thing, and I'm probably just, like, skipping over it, but, like, whoever is the pig, like, the farmer, whoever he is, like, he also tells stories, like, about, like, the dog and stuff like that, and Penelope tells Telemachus about, like, when Odysseus left and, like, things like that. And then you get like, even more stories about the actual sacking of Troy, and, like, from different people's points of view too. It's like this person who viewed Odysseus as, like, a hero of Troy, and then Odysseus himself, like, later on, where he, like, you see in different points in time where it's like, yes, it was great, and then, like, you know, like, we were heroes, we were doing this awesome thing, and then later on where it's like, you actually get the full-blown battle, essentially, where it's just like, no, they were like, they fucked up, like, that, as they keep referencing all the time, they broke the law of Zeus, and they sacked a city. And even though this movie is rated R, they still keep, like, it's definitely rated R for, like, violence and stuff like that, but they keep sort of what they do to the people in that city very PG-13, but it's like, you can tell in the way that, like, they attack the women specifically, that they are raping and killing those women. Like, they are not nice about it. They are pillaging, they are destroying the city and stuff like that. And I do like the end bit with that too, because Zendaya as Athena just sort of appears here and there, and at first I was kind of confused why she was there, and then I realized, like, it shows you at the end that she is a representation of Odysseus's guilt. Like, yes, she's also basically Athena. Like, I think that is actually Athena, and I do kind of like that the gods present themselves as more human than ethereal and anything else. But, like, that is Athena, but she is also a representation of Odysseus's guilt, not just of, like, what he did to Troy, but also, like, how he abandoned his family to do this thing, how she constantly reminds him, it's like, you don't actually want to go home, because you watch it, and Odysseus is like, no, we'll take a different route. And you're just sort of like, so he's gonna fuck up, and then he does, and he does it again, and he does it again, and he does it again, and then Athena's just like, you don't want to go home. This is the whole reason why you keep fucking up, is because you don't want to go home. And I found that very interesting, that it's like, you get to the point, because, you know, everything is being told from different perspectives, and it's just like, you can't trust Odysseus himself as a reliable narrator, because he's only starting to remember things that he, like, purposely forgot by consuming the lotus flower. To anybody who read Percy Jackson as a child, you know what lotus flowers do. So I just thought that was like, it was really interesting, and just the way that the storytelling is. And of course, like, it's a Christopher Nolan movie. It's a very beautifully filmed movie. The soundtrack slaps, which I don't expect any less from Ludwig Göransson. Like, I expect the soundtrack to be phenomenal. Like, recently watching The Mandalorian and Grogu, like, that soundtrack was phenomenal. His soundtrack for Oppenheimer is phenomenal. Like, I expect nothing less from Ludwig Göransson, but it's just like, this movie is long and it feels long, but I think it works so well in that context. It's just like, I don't know. I think it just makes you sit on this journey with this man. Like, it makes you sit on this journey with this man, and Matt Damon does a very good job of portraying Odysseus. Like, I honestly haven't seen too many Matt Damon movies, and I want to say the last one that I watched was Saving Private Ryan. I did recently watch an interview where somebody joked about most of the movies that Matt Damon stars in are of him trying to get home, which, like, you think about it and you're like, yeah, it's kind of right. Which I thought was really funny. But like, I really liked this movie. Like, it was good. It's a beautiful movie. Like, it's gorgeous. I'm sure I've said this about 10 times already in this review, but like, it's a beautiful movie, and it makes you sit with, his story. It's making me want to read the Odyssey and read the Iliad. Like, I'm pretty sure my parents own it, so like, I'm pretty sure I can read this. But like, it's nice to sit with it, and I like how they portray characters and other things. Like, Antinius is such a fucking asshole, and Robert Pattinson does a great job of playing him. Like, it's gold, and it's also really fun to see what actors are involved in this movie. Like, I think that was the most entertaining thing, is being like, it's that person and that person. Like, Punisher shows up, and I was like, huh, interesting. I know those two are gonna show up in a movie, like, when he's sitting next to Tom Holland. Like, I was like, I know those two are gonna show up in a movie that's coming out in like 2 weeks. So I thought that was really interesting. I mean, I think that's the fun thing about like a Christopher Nolan movie, and I guess like a couple other movies, but the Christopher Nolan movies are the ones that I think of the most, where you're just like, how many like super famous fucking actors are gonna show up in this and stuff like that. Like, I thought that was fun. I wish that we had more of Lupita Nyong'o, and that's just because I had a massive fucking crush on her in high school. I was like, oh, I wish I had more of her, but she was great. Like, both characters, but especially as Helen, she fucking hates her husband because she hates that she's used as an excuse for this horrible, horrible atrocity that occurred. But it's just, I liked her. I thought she was very interesting as Helen of Troy. I loved her so much in that movie. And I at first, when I first watched this movie, I was like, yes, Elliot Page as Sinon, this is gonna be great. And then Elliot Page dies within the first 2 minutes of the movie, and I was like, that's it. And then he comes back again. I was like, oh, okay. I really liked the like dead corpse section where they like go to Hades and do the ritual, and I thought that was really interesting. Like, it was so creepy, and I loved it. I loved it so much. One thing that I thought was really interesting was the part with the sirens, because I was curious to see, like, are we gonna hear these siren songs? What are they gonna do? And they mess with sound, and I thought, obviously that's a perfect place to mess with sound. It's like, you change the sound up so that it sounds like everybody else has wax in their ears, and like, you don't entirely know what's happening. And I loved that so much, that it's just like, you can hear it, because it's like, he puts the wax in one ear and you can kind of tell through the speakers that like one ear is sort of muffled, and then he puts the wax in the other ear and everything is muffled. And I loved that so much. And then just like, Matt Damon throughout that sequence did an amazing job, where it's just like, you can tell that like something fucked up is happening, but you don't kind of fully understand what it is. And then it's like, obviously it's implied that like, essentially the sirens are essentially lulling him to kill himself because of all the guilt and terror that he caused throughout Troy. And then of course, like, when they go to Hades later on, no, that was before that. But like, when they go to the Hades before that, like, all those corpses are a representation of essentially everybody who's died on this campaign to sack Troy. And like true, it's the cost of war, essentially what it is. And it's just like these are all everything is a physical manifestation of his guilt. Like this entire movie is a physical manifestation of his guilt. I think that's part of the reason why he doesn't want to go home, is because it's just like he's so guilty about it. But then when he gets home and realizes what has become of his home, he's like, I need to write these things, but I need to write them in my own way. Like he needs to become essentially the horror story that everybody keeps saying about. Like he needs to become the man from the sea who breaks the law of Zeus. And I thought that was really interesting. Like he that's what he does. And then of course he is like, well, now I should exile myself, use an excuse to exile himself. He's like, peace out, I'm gonna dip with Penelope. And it's just, God, Anne Hathaway did a great job as Penelope, but I just like, I don't know. I don't know how else to say it, but it's just like, it was so cool. Like it took me until the end to realize, oh, this is an entire movie about Odysseus's guilt, but it's done in such a really well done way. Like it's very impactful, and it's just like you have different things as different representations of his guilt. You have the people who admire him and respect him. You have the people who admire him but also want to take advantage of what he's left behind. Like the suitors, it's like they admire him. They're like, he did a great thing, but now we want his home and his wife. And so, like, those are people that are like, he did a great thing. Now we're going to reap the benefits of all of his actions. And then there are the people that are like, he did a great thing. I really wish he was here. Or I want to know where he is. And it's just like with Telemachus, it's like they talk about it all the time. It's like he never knew his father. Like he literally never, like, I think it's supposed to imply that he was probably like 2 years old when his dad went off to war. Like he was itty bitty, does not remember his dad whatsoever. And so is like essentially, put this man on a pedestal of all of these songs and things that people have said about him. And he doesn't know how much of them are true. And I think when he finally meets Odysseus, he realizes it's just like, this is my father and he's a great man, but he's also done some things, and like, I want to become him so badly. But then Odysseus is like, no, you're better than me. Like, you have not created all of these atrocities. You are trying to do what is right, like stuff like that. And it's just, oof, I liked it. I don't know, I feel like this review is all over the place, but I feel like all of my reviews lately have been all over the place. But I don't know, I think that's all I'm gonna say for now. Maybe. Probably. Yeah, no. I'm gonna call it done. But yeah, let me know if you have seen the Odyssey and what you thought of it. Like, subscribe. Bye-bye.